Today, we're diving into a fascinating case study about a company that built a flawless product that absolutely no one wanted to buy. This is the story of the Morressier pivot, and it's a lesson in solving the right problem. Okay, let's just start right here with this quote because it really says it all. Can you imagine pouring all your time and resources into building the perfect technology only to have it completely flop? And I mean literally 0 people bought it. This is the brutal reality of solving the wrong problem. So how does a smart company like Morressier even get here? Well, the journey to creating a perfect, unsellable product usually starts when you fall in love with what's technically possible, instead of what your customer actually desperately needs. So Morressier's product, the Integrity Manager, was, on paper, a masterpiece. The AI could spot everything: plagiarism, manipulated images, wonky citations. The tech itself was perfect. And the demos? Publishers loved them. They were impressed. They nodded. They said all the right things. But then, crickets. When it came time to actually sign a deal, the conversations just went quiet. The team was caught in something called a commodity trap. See, they thought they just needed to be a little bit better, maybe add one more feature. But the truth was, all their competitors were already doing the same thing. They were all fighting in a crowded market, basically just competing on who had the most features or the lowest price. It's a race to the bottom. All right, now this is where it gets really interesting. When they started digging into why no one was buying, they uncovered something huge. It turns out their perfect product was actually creating a total nightmare for the people who had to use it. And this slide just lays out the disconnect so clearly. On the left, you've got what the product did. It found a problem. Simple enough, right? But now look at the right. That's the user's actual job. A long, messy, manual checklist of things they had to do. The product wasn't solving their problem, it was just adding another item to their to-do list. It was creating more work. And that's really the heart of it. Morrissier's amazing, sophisticated AI, it only did step 1 of this whole painful process. It basically just dropped a problem on someone's desk and then walked away, leaving them to handle all the hard work that came after. And it got even worse. Here's a perfect example. They had a single button that said acknowledge, but nobody knew what it actually did. One person thought it meant, yep, this is fine, let's approve it. Another thought it was just, okay, I've seen it. And a third person thought they were flagging it for someone else to review. It was a total UX disaster, and it all came from not understanding the real-world workflow. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? If your users have to open up a spreadsheet or grab a sticky note to manage the work your software just created, you haven't built a solution, you've built a very expensive and very annoying notification system. Ouch. Okay, so things looked pretty bad. How did they pull out of this nosedive? This is the brilliant part. They executed a massive strategic shift, a blue ocean pivot that completely redefined their business and their market. First, they took a hard look at the competitive landscape and realized everyone, including them, was trapped in a red ocean. All the big players were just shouting the exact same thing. We catch more plagiarism! It was a bloody, exhausting fight where nobody was really winning. And that's when the light bulb went on. While everyone else was fighting this tiny war over who could detect problems better, they saw this huge, empty space. Nobody, absolutely nobody, was helping publishers with the messy, expensive, and critical investigation that came next. So they pivoted hard. They changed their entire identity. They went from being just another passive detection tool to becoming an active, end-to-end investigation platform. This wasn't a new feature. This was a fundamental change in who they were and what they offered. And their whole product roadmap changed overnight. They stopped trying to build more detectors and instead started building the tools people actually needed to do their jobs. Things like contextual evidence gathering, decision frameworks, collaboration features for teams, and, crucially, complete audit trails for every decision made. So, the big question is, did this massive gamble actually work? Well, the results kind of speak for themselves. Let's start with this number, $16.9 million. That's what they raised in their Series B funding round after making this pivot. You know, investors weren't just buying better tech, they were buying into a company that had discovered and defined a whole new market. And the market responded in a huge way. They closed 6 massive enterprise deals, landing industry giants like IEEE and the American Chemical Society. Think about that. They went from 0 sales to signing the biggest names in the business and even became a finalist for a major innovation award. That's validation.
Okay, so this is a great story, but what does it mean for you? Let's boil Morrissier's success down into a simple 5-question playbook that you can use for your own product or business.
First, ask yourself this. What happens the second your user finishes their task in your product? Don't just focus on what happens inside your app. The real opportunity, the real gold, is often hiding in what they have to do right after. Next, look for the workarounds. Are your users exporting data to a spreadsheet? Are they managing follow-ups in a long email chain? Every single one of those spreadsheets is a potential feature. Every workaround is a user practically begging you for a better solution. Question 3. What problem are your competitors completely ignoring? If everyone else is zigging, where can you zag? Look for that adjacent pain point that nobody is talking about. That's your blue ocean. Number 4, think about value. A simple detection tool will almost always have to compete on price, but an investigation platform that solves a much bigger, more expensive business problem. You can easily justify charging 3 times as much because you're competing on value, not features. And finally, be bold. Don't just ask what small feature you should add next. Ask yourself, if we were to reposition our entire company to solve this bigger, more valuable problem, what would we build then? It forces you to think way beyond just small improvements. So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Look at your own product, your own work. Are you just adding more checks and flags to a commoditized tool? Or are you building the entire investigation platform? Because as Morrissey proved, the answer to that question could be worth millions.